Hello. We are going to use this as a quick review for the test. You can take it Thursday today, or you can, if you're ready, or you can take it Friday. The purpose of this video is for you to pull up the blank lesson, follow along, pause the video, and practice with me, where you will try it and then I will solve it. And then at the end of this video, there are some additional practice problems that are optional for you to do to prepare for the quiz. I will work out all of the problems from this blank lesson and post them in the answer key folder. So here we go. The first thing we're going to look at is, what is the name of the formula? Well, because this has 1 plus r, our rate, this is exponential growth. That's just different from this formula right here, which has 1 minus the rate. So that is exponential decay. Okay? Now, we have two other formulas that we need to use. And I noticed on the quiz that some of you did not use the right formula in the right situation. This one right here, that's way more complicated, is compound interest. So whenever you see the word compound in the problem, like compounded daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, okay, that's when you will use this formula. Because here, your n right here is the number of times that the interest is compounded per year. So n equals the number of times compounded. Okay, the last formula right there is actually half-life. So again, look for those words. It tells you which formula to use, because this one right here will always say half-life. And it tells you what the half-life time is. Like something, half-life is 10 days. That means it cuts in half every 10 days. Okay, and remember that this t right here is tricky, because you have to take the time and you have to divide it by the half-life time. And another thing I noticed from the quiz is that many of you are not using parentheses in the correct places. So anytime you use this formula, the compound interest formula, you need to put that nt in parentheses. You need to put r divided by n in an additional parenthesis. And here, if you're going to enter t divided by the half-life, you need to make sure that is in a parenthesis as well. So keep those things in mind so you don't make mistakes. And that's why you're going to practice today, so that you're prepared for the test. All right, so now we're just going to choose the correct formula. We're not even going to solve it. I'm going to go back and solve it on the notes, so you can always go back and solve this later. But it says the current value of first edition drawing by Beck Incorporated is $75,000 or $7,500. The value increases by 4% per year. Find the value in 10 years. So it's increasing. So it's going to either be growth or it's going to be compound interest. It doesn't say anything about compounded, so this is just exponential growth. Okay, now you try this one, pause the video, read it, and see if you can come up with the correct formula. Virium-14 has a half-life of 40 years. Find the amount of Virium-14 left from a 275 milligram sample after 30 years. Here's your key word, half-life. So that's going to be half-life formula. Next question. Again, pause the video, read it, see if you can figure out which formula you would use. The current population of Elliotteville is 1,200, and it is decreasing at a rate of 3.5% per year. Find the population of Elliotteville in 10 years. Okay, so here's your keyword, decreasing. If it's decreasing or decaying, it's one of these. It does not say anything about half-life. So this is just exponential decay. And here's one more. Again, pause the video, see if you can come up with which one you should use. If Nate invests $6,000 at a rate of 5% compounded quarterly, that's your key word, find the value after 10 years. So compound interest formula, that's the complicated one. All right. So again, I'll solve these on the notes so you could go back and try to solve these for extra practice. Now let's talk about the compound interest formula. In there, that n value is the number of times it's compounded per year. So if it says compounded monthly, how many months are in a year? 12. So there's 12 months, so it's compounded 12 times a year. Daily, 365. Semi-annually, that's twice per year. Weekly, how many weeks are in a year? 52. Quarterly, how many quarters are there in a football game? How many quarters are there in a dollar? 4. And annually would be just once. So now, on this next screen, you try these. Pause the video, see if you can fill in all the values. And the values should be 365 for daily, annually once, weekly 52, quarterly 4 times a year, monthly 52, and semi-annually twice per year. Those are the n values you're going to need to know for the test. There's one more that you can try. I'll put this back up on the notes, but we'll keep moving. So we're going to try just 2 problems right now, and I'll actually solve these with you. These are kind of 2 of the more maybe trickier ones that we've been working on lately. All right, how much should be invested in a credit union now so that there will be $50,000 available to pay for post-secondary education in 4 years? The money invested earns 10.5% interest compounded weekly. So this is your compound interest formula. So our compound interest formula looks like this. A equals P times 1 plus our rate divided by N, all raised to the NT power. So in this problem, my rate is 10.5%. So again, I have to take 10.5 divided by 100 or move the decimal over 2 places. So this would be 0.105 divided by the number of times it's compounded per year. So weekly would be 52. I'm going to raise it to the number of times, 52, times 4 years, because that's how long it's going to be there. Now, what's different about this problem is I don't know my P. It says how much should be invested. How much should be invested. So we don't know what P is. That's what we're trying to find. But we do know that we want to have $50,000. Okay? So here's what you're going to do. You're going to get a value for this right here. So I would take 0.105 divided by 52, and that gives me 1 plus 0.002. Make sure you always round to 3 places there. This ends up, even if I go to 4, the same. So now I'm going to take that value and I'm going to raise it to the 52 times 4 power. So 52 times 4, it might be easier just to raise it to the 200th power. So now my equation looks like P times 1.002 to the 200th power. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get a value for this. So 1.002 raised to the 200th power gives me a value of 1.491. Again, always round to 3 places for accuracy. And that's what we want. So now all we have to do is divide each side by that decimal number. So I'm going to take 50,000 divided by 1.491. And that gives me that my P, the amount I need to invest, is $33,534.54. Okay? So we just found our P. And we talked about using this formula and how you need these extra parentheses. We're going to do this last one, and then you have the option to work out the other 4 examples we already did above and or some of the ones following this example. Okay, this says that Strelicium 4 has a half-life of approximately 10 hours. Here's your key, half-life. Okay, this thing doesn't matter. Don't use that number in your problem. That's just telling you the name of the substance. So it has a half-life of approximately 10 hours. Find the amount left from a 50-gram sample after 72 hours. So we're going to use that half-life formula, A equals P times 0.5 raised to the T power. So my 50-gram sample, that's what I'm starting with. I have a 50-gram sample, so that's my P right there. So I'm going to put 50-gram sample, it's halving, and it's cutting in half every 10 hours. So I'm going to take for my time 75 hours and divide it by 10. And that, now if I calculate all this, it should give me the correct answer. But again, you can just figure this out. 75 divided by 10 is really just going to be raising it to the 7.5 power. And sometimes that might be easier for you than putting this extra parenthesis in there. But that's up to you. I would pause the video and see if you can calculate this correctly, because many of you had the right formula on the quiz, but you did not calculate it correctly. So you should have your final amount left after it keeps cutting in half is 0.276 grams. All right. I will be having a Zoom session at 1:30, I believe it is. Check the update. And this is the optional extra practice that you can just practice choosing the correct formula and solving some of them. I will work all these out and post in the answer key. And then again, you can test today or tomorrow. Have a great day.